We are going to the sharkiest spot in the Florida Keys, the Islamorada Humps. I've shot bluefin tuna, yellowfin tuna, but the one type of tuna we get right here in my backyard, I've never landed with a spear gun. We're gonna try to shoot some blackfin tuna. That is the goal for today. My buddies Reed and Carson are probably the only two dumb enough to hop in at the humps with me, but that's the crew for today. We're about to catch some bait so we can get the tuna fired up. So let's throw the net and get out there.
Pretty morning.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I think we lucked out with these storms too.
I know. We might have a couple to dodge out there.
The storms are the least of my worries.
Yeah.
I'm worried about a big 12-foot dusky.
Earlier that morning, we loaded the boat down with dead bait back at Plantation Boat Mart, but adding some live bait would really help getting the tuna fired up at the humps. After throwing the net a few times, we had enough to head offshore, so we set a course for the Islamorada Hump and started running out. This time of year, it's not uncommon to see massive storms out on the horizon early in the morning, but we were able to dodge them on our run out and made it to the humps in time for the morning bite.
So we just got out to the humps. You can see, got a whole bunch of boats out here. The Islamorada Humps are world-renowned for offshore fishing. Basically, they're these giant seamounts that come up hundreds of feet off of the normal bottom. And what that does is that pushes the Gulf Stream straight up, and all that deep, nutrient-rich water comes up to the surface. So a lot of bait congregates around these humps, and of course, if there's bait, there's gonna be a lot of game fish like tuna, mahi, wahoo, and of course, when you have big game fish and a lot of people fishing for them, you're gonna have some big sharks. It is known as one of the sharkier places. If you don't get your fish up fast enough, you will get sharked. I'm excited to see what it looks like in the water. So right now, we're putting out the sea anchor. Basically what the sea anchor is it's a big parachute. And what it does is it makes the boat stay with the water rather than being pushed off your drift by the wind. And it's gonna be super helpful while we're chunking up bait, because instead of the chum line going down as the boat is pushed off that water where we drop the chum, we're gonna stay right over top of it so that we can see the full chum line going straight down. Hopefully, the blackfin come across that chum line, follow it right up to the boat, and one of us will be there waiting with a spear gun. These are probably one of the hardest fish to shoot with a spear gun.
Yeah,
Carson's landed a couple in the past, but it would be my first.
Waiting for a perfect shot on a finicky tuna school may leave you pushing your limits, so you absolutely need a good dive buddy to watch you while you're down. And if you're weighted right, you won't sink like a rock if something were to go wrong. We took some time to get geared up while Reed started chumming to try to get the tuna up to the surface, then we hopped in. Deep water, especially in an area notorious for big sharks, can leave you a bit paranoid. Blue water spearfishing can be incredibly rewarding, but you often find yourself waiting for hours on end for a fish to show up out of the blue. As the adrenaline fades and the minutes pass by, your mind begins to wander. And on this day, it wandered to previous shark encounters I've had over the last few years, like the countless encounters I've had with big bull sharks while diving the deep reefs off of the Keys. More often than not, the fish are more curious than anything, and chumming the water usually brings them in for a free meal. But sharks don't always just take your chum. They'll often snatch your struggling fish before you get a chance to land it. And it's hard to blame them. They eat to live and will take any opportunity to score easy calories. One specific time that comes to mind was when my buddy Tyler finally shot his first wahoo after years of trying, only to have it snatched by a bull shark just before he could land it. Within seconds, the entire fish was gone.
6 bull sharks just ate it.
And another time where my buddy Juan lost his $200 spear to a big bull that ate a yellowjack he had just speared. And then there are the countless encounters with reef sharks over in the Bahamas. These sharks are far more feisty than bull sharks and have associated the sound of a spear with a free meal. But not every encounter with a shark is a negative one. One time, this shark swam right up to me with a plastic strap around its gills. While I often find myself in competition with sharks, having swam up to me with such a calm demeanor, I could tell that the shark was asking for help. But almost like it had changed its mind, the shark started to swim off, but slowly enough for me to keep up. I went in to cut the plastic as quickly as possible. This was such a unique encounter, where this animal that I would usually compete with somehow recognized that I had the ability to help it. I can't say that this encounter has completely changed the way that I look at sharks, but I do think about it quite often as I try to make sense of it. And here I am at the humps with pounds of dead fish being thrown at me. But despite its reputation, no sharks come in and neither do the tuna. Having drifted well past the humps, we reset for another drift. After getting in for our second drift, it wasn't long before we had our first visitor. But unlike the big 12-foot dusky I was imagining, it was about a 2-foot-long baby shark that was more than happy to gorge itself on the free handouts. I took a dive to get a closer look, but I couldn't quite tell what type of shark it was. A little bit bored, I decided to try to line up on the shark just to see how difficult it was going to be to track one of these fish when they came in. Tuna are notorious for being fast, and they would be much quicker than this small shark. Not long after, 3 blackfin tuna swim into the chum, grab a couple of pieces, then dive back down to the depths. Before Carson or I could even turn our cameras on, they were gone. As the sun gets higher in the sky, the tuna go deeper and deeper. These fish are designed to eat around dusk and dawn, and as the hours dragged on, our chances of landing one got smaller and smaller. But not long after, we spot several bonita swim into the spread and start eating our chum. I take a drop and start to line up on a piece of bait that I'm hoping one of the tuna will come in and try to eat. I'm a bit too close to this piece, and the fish just don't feel comfortable enough to get close to me. I keep looking around for an opportunity, but the fish are moving so quick that I can't quite sweep my gun to catch up to line up on the fish. I try to stay down as long as I can, but ultimately, none of the fish come close enough for a shot, and they're just moving too fast. If the blackfin move as fast as the bonita, we may not have a chance of landing one today. We drifted for hours without seeing another tuna or bonita. I knew this was going to be a challenge, but I had no idea it was going to be this difficult. It was time to change tactics. We decide that if we're going to land a blackfin with a spear gun, we're gonna have to wait until the sunset bite. To kill the time until then, we decided to put the rods out to do a little bit of trolling. All right, well, we're switching tactics. Got the old rod and reel out. Got a pretty good flock of birds working, and we're gonna rip through them real quick and see if we can pick up one. I promised my wife sushi dinner. We were all confident that we could at least catch a few tuna on the troll, and it wasn't long before we found what the birds were circling.
We got a fish on! I forgot what it felt like.
Catching a blackfin tuna on a rod and reel is probably 1,000 times easier than spearing one, but all we could catch were bonita, which, unlike blackfin, really do not taste good. We were getting a bit frustrated, and low on bait, so we decided to head back in to regroup and load up on more bait for the sunset bite. Carson threw the net on pilchards a few times and we filled the live wells. With the boat full of bait, we had exactly what we needed to bring the tuna up shallow enough for a shot later in the day.
We're going to the humps, and we're gonna try to not get eaten, but we're gonna throw every bit of chum that we have. We probably got 50 pounds of chum. Chum heavy, hunt hard, hope it happens. Kill a big blackfin, kill a big black.
As we headed back offshore, we came across multiple flocks of birds, which was a sign that the fish were back up at the surface feeding, and hopes were high that we were going to get it done. Well, we just got back to the humps, and it is lively. It's a whole different ocean from earlier today, so we're going to get suited up and give it one last shot. If we strike out again, we're going to try to catch some at sunset with the pilchards we got left, so let's get suited up.
Feel free to burn up all of that dead.
Unlike earlier, the bonita almost immediately come up to eat the fresh pilchards we were throwing out. And because blackfin usually hang out with bonita, I take a drop and get to neutral buoyancy around 30 feet to wait for them. The bonita move in and out quickly, but I catch a quick glimpse of a blackfin much further down. I waited patiently, hoping that a brave blackfin would come up to where I was and grab a pilchard. But the bonita quickly ate all of the chum we were throwing, and I ran out of time on my dive, so I headed for the surface. The blackfin seemed to be deeper than the bonita, so I would need to make a deep dive for a chance at one.
Reed decided to hop in the water, my turn to drive. They're fired up right now.
Look at this depth finder, guys. It was about an hour before sunset and we finally had our drift over the humps dialed in. It was Reed's turn to get in the water, and on this drift, the bonita were incredibly active. They started swarming the bait as soon as it hit the water, and this is the kind of feeding frenzy we were trying to start.
That's so sick.
Or what?
Yeah, throw a big handful right now. This is ridiculous.
The bonita were eating the dead bait as soon as it hit the water, so I threw in a few netfuls of live bait so it would be a bit harder for them and hopefully entice the blackfin to get shallow enough for a shot. And then it happens. A blackfin just can't stand it anymore and rises to the surface to get a chance at a live bait. But as soon as Reed makes his dive, it quickly darts back down deep and out of sight.
One nice blackfin, yeah. It's so sick. Be patient as long as you don't take it. I mean, if you gotta take a shot, take a shot. Yeah. They're not going anywhere. Yeah.
The blackfin comes up again, but it's a bit more weary of the divers this time, so it stays deep.
How the hell are you supposed to hit that? You can almost shoot him from the surface. Like, he came up and just went down instantly. Like, the blacks are just ridiculous. Just too fired up and put up so high, they're just too sporadic to shoot. We got him past it. Yeah.
After a while, we had completely drifted off the hump and needed to reset to get back on the fish.
Ridiculous. They're just.
Derek, there was 20 of them just swarming us. Like within 5 feet of us.
Yeah, underneath our fins, like there was more than 20. It was ridiculous.
After what they told me, I had to get back in the water to see it for myself. Almost immediately, a mahi comes in and starts eating the dead bait, and I spot some tuna and bonita even further down. I get Carson's attention, take a deep breath, and start my dive. I follow the huge trail of dead pilchards down and pass the mahi on the way. While I love mahi, I had a plan to land one of the tuna below it. If I could get down just below my neutral buoyancy of around 30 feet and try to wait for the tuna to come to me while slowly sinking, I might have a better chance of shooting one. I figured that waiting for the tuna to get to the surface before making the dive is what was spooking the fish, so if I wait long enough, they should swim right to me. At first, it's just the bonita, but as I keep sinking deeper, I spot the tuna below them. First, one at a time, and then an entire wall of tuna down deep. A few of the braver fish rushed through the bait, and I waited patiently for my shot. I spot one fish that's a bit closer than the others, and slowly begin to aim my gun in that direction. I give a few last couple of kicks and pull the trigger. And to my amazement, I hit it. The rest of the tuna school dives immediately, and the fish that I shot tries to dive with them, taking my reel line with it. I head for the surface, more surprised than happy, and more concerned than surprised. I needed to get the fish up before the sharks came for the dangling meal. I pull the line in as fast as I can while trying my best not to get tangled in it. This fish isn't quite strong enough to drown me, but if a big shark were to come in and grab him, with me attached, that's a recipe for disaster. Fortunately, no sharks come out to play, and I'm able to land my first blackfin tuna on a spear gun.
Hell yeah!
Look at that guy. It was a wall. It was freaking nuts. That's how you do it.
Hell yeah!
Nice work, Derek.
The first thing I did was make sure to brain and bleed the tuna, which is a key step if you're going to eat them as sushi.
I thought he shot a bonita. They liked when you put that much chum out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think they did.
that's sick.
Look at that little butterball, huh? On the stick and string. I cannot believe that worked out that good.
Yeah, there's a wall of them.
Oh, it was nuts. He was just the closest one. Yo. That's badass.
Good shit.
Woo! That was awesome. If you want an extraordinary life, you have to do extraordinary things. I cannot believe we just did that.
After diving quite literally from sunrise to sunset, we finally landed a blackfin tuna with a spear gun. But we had a few live baits left and decided to see just how long it would take to land one on rod and reel.
Look at the lightning out there.
Right here. Come on.
Oh yeah.
This rod and reel stuff's easy, man.
Yeah, look at them blowing up. Oh my goodness.
Someone tell me spearfishing is easier than fishing.
Go spearing all day to get one. Start live baiting.
Literally
first cast.
sunrise to damn near sunset.
Oh, shark.
Oh, he got his tail. Get him in, get him in. Man, that's a fatty.
Real fatty.
Perfect, you got the part we don't want.
And for whatever reason, after only seeing a single shark, maybe twice the size of this tuna all day, The first one we land on rod and reel comes in the boat with a bite missing. You can't make this stuff up.
We did it. I landed my first blackfin tuna with a spear gun, but we also showed it's a lot easier to catch them on rod and reel. Now we're gonna pay for it. That is the direction of home. And we're about to get soaked.
We actually managed to sneak past the worst of the storm, but get home late, so we decide to leave the fish on ice overnight. Proper preparation is key for blackfin tuna sushi, so stay tuned and I'll quickly show you exactly how I clean these fish before we make sushi rolls.
All right guys, it's the next morning. We're here at Plantation Boat Mart and we're gonna show you how to clean up these tuna to keep them sushi grade. When we shot the fish, we were able to bleed it almost immediately, brain the fish, and get it on ice. That is the key to taking care of blackfin tuna. So a little bit about our setup. No matter how nice and clean your cleaning table is, I always like to have some paper towels laid out for the fillets. You just don't want to take that sushi grade fish and then lay it on a cleaning table, especially if you're going to be eating the fish raw like we are. All of the sushi you've ever had has been dry aged. It's left to age for a few days. Fresh sushi actually isn't nearly as good as sushi that's been able to dry age for a couple of days. So that's what we're going to do with our sushi. I'm definitely going to clean up this bloodline. Now that I got the fillet nice and cleaned up, just going to take our paper towel and wrap it up. Don't be stingy with the paper towels because these things will actually put out a lot of juice. If you ever seen a bag of fish that's just sitting in an absurd amount of juice, you know what I'm talking about. Once we have it wrapped in paper towel, right into a Ziploc bag, and we're gonna keep this on ice.
And that's all there is to it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.